we got invited to this Halloween party, and Jan had told me, like, don't act like an idiot. We want to be friends with these people. Right. Don't screw this night up. I said, all right. And so he was a pharmaceutical rep and was in Chicago daily. And at their Halloween party, he brings back Uno pizza, right? Oh. He has like 15 of these Uno pies. And we get there a little bit late. They had just moved into a house. Still smelled like fresh paint. Everything was brand new. Go in, and she introduces me, and I shake her hand, and he goes, you want Uno pizza? And I said, oh, sure. I said, where'd you get that at? And he goes, I was just in Chicago this afternoon. And so he goes, grab a plate, put it in the microwave. It's, it's not warm anymore. So I just reached down and grabbed a Halloween plate that had like a purple spider web on it, cat and stuff. And I put a couple pieces of Uno pizza on it. And I put it in the microwave, hit minute 30, and was just kind of leaning back, talking to our host. And at about a minute 15, I look up, and their entire microwave is on fire on the inside. I'm like, whoa, and it's like I can't find the stop or anything, and there's flames everywhere and sparks, and there was foil on the purple.
Yeah,
right. So we've not done
that was
anything
the last time.
With those
That was the first and last time you were.
It was a
house.
quiet ride on the way home.
Spartacus walks out with his head slumped.
What did I tell you, honey?
Sorry about burning your brand new microwave down. Well, hey boys, how you doing?
Good, Raymond.
Butter, finger.
But he said butter.
I was gonna say not necessarily in that order, but anyway.
The whiskey pod was up. Boy, man, there was a lot of podcasts there. We had done a lot of damage. That was that night was a fun.
A lot
night.
went to the floor.
Yeah,
a lot had to go out in the scrap heap, but there was still good stuff left.
It's some of that's going to come back. It might come back on a clip show.
It struck me that Joe started off saying we were going to limit this to 4 tastings, and extra bottles kept getting pulled out. And by the time you get to like the 1 hour mark of the pod, you can already see that it's starting to spiral.
I think it was like 2 hours and 20 minutes or something like that. But yeah, there's going to be a lot of that stuff, but we're going to recoup. There's so much funny stuff there. So it was good to see Joe. Hopefully he's on again. I think he could probably do another 2-hour show, stand on his head. He's a good dude.
Absolutely.
So this week we're going to tackle the Halloween of the Gen Xer, and we're going to discuss some of the things that only a Gen Xer could experience, because it seemed like the end of the great Halloweens kind of ended with us. So the first thing let's talk a little bit about is the Halloween costumes. Do you remember buying getting your Halloween costume?
So my mom made a lot of my costumes.
Right.
Like my 70s Halloween costumes were homemade.
Yeah.
Somewhere in a box I still have, she made a phenomenal astronaut costume.
Oh, wow.
With all the patches, the Apollo patches and all that. It's pretty spectacular. I distinctly remember doing the hobo thing. You know, it would put ash or charcoal on your face for the 5 o'clock shadow and all that stuff. And so a lot of my costumes were made, but I do also remember, of course, the classic plastic mask that you alluded to in the opener. Planet of the Apes was, I think, my most memorable one that I had as a kid.
That was a strong one, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Same. Early Halloween stuff was made by Mom. So one of my earliest ones I remember was a pirate. Just a bandana over the head and so forth. And then like cardboard robot that was covered in tinfoil. I did that.
Right.
And then like super easy to do ones like football player, baseball player, things we kind of already had. And so the first several years were definitely that vibe. And then later, I know we've talked a little bit about this before, but like the hard plastic. What I remember actually is having a full, pliable rubber over the head Ronald Reagan mask.
Oh, yeah.
I had a Reagan mask. Wow. Yeah.
You didn't start robbing banks when you got older with that mask?
Stop the rock.
Yeah. So, those are kind of my memories. I don't remember having anything too elaborate. In those days, it was pretty straight ahead.
Can you imagine, though, fast forward to today, doing something politically charged? Like the president's mask. I mean, no one thought twice about it back in our era.
Right.
But there have been a lot of people who have gone as Trump in the past couple of years.
Oh, well, for sure. Would you send your 12-year-old to school like that right now? It's a sign of the times, I think. Yeah. Without any political commentary. It's just the way things are now.
Right.
No, I'm a lot like you, and the one memorable Halloween for me is my brother is 4 years younger than me, and we had to do Raggedy Ann and Andy.
Oh my God!
Which,
yeah,
it.
How did it go? Were you?
I was.
Andy,
well,
or?
I think.
Do you remember?
Yeah, I was Andy.
You were Andy,
but
Andy.
Who knows? I might have been Raggedy Ann because they kind of both look the same. But
you just tapped into one of my adolescent scars, circa 1983, maybe. It was, of course, a middle school Halloween party, and I had this killer Adam Ant.
Oh, Adam Ant.
Get up.
Oh, hell yeah.
And my parents would not let me leave the house to go to the party dressed as Adam Ant.
right.
Oh,
And somehow, on the fly, they coerced my girlfriend and I into going to this party as Raggedy Ann and Andy. It was
Right.
the most torturous thing ever. But there you go.
I went to a school Halloween party, I think just about every year, up and through high school, I think. And I don't think my kids ever went to a Halloween party. And I'm talking full-fledged, like somebody's parents had a barn. There was, dunking for apples.
Yeah,
there
we
was
had
the
a rack
whole,
ride. I don't know.
whole entire thing. And that was all the way through high school. But you don't
I forgot
see
the
that
other
anymore.
classic homemade but costume. It was the sheet. It was just
Oh,
a straight,
for sure.
straight ghost.
Right.
Just the ghost.
Yeah. Well, did you
I was
ever do
definitely
the
that.
double dip? You'd go out in full costume, come back, then you'd throw on the sheet and hit the neighborhood again
Right.
for cycle number
just
two.
for a second round.
Oh, absolutely. That was a strong move.
No, we never thought of that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. The sheet was that stayed until 9 o'clock at night. And then that was
How
round
many
two.
ghosts have been through here?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I think I was a football player one year.
I was Hayden Fry one of his first years here.
That would've been a
was
good
solid.
pull.
Mirrored
Yeah.
aviators, the hat,
Oh, yeah.
white
That's a
pants.
classic
It was
one.
A great
I had a
pull.
playbook stuck in the back of my.
And the plastic vinyl stuff. It's Planet of the Apes is such a great pull. That was a great pull. But there was kind of there's 1 year where it wasn't just movies and it wasn't just comic books, because Casper the Ghost was one of them.
Oh, sure.
So comic books kind of entered it a little bit, but cable television entered it.
Oh, yeah.
And so
MTV.
I still remember asking one of my buddies, so are you Han Solo? I had no idea who Lee Majors the Fall Guy was.
Right. You're like, of course you are.
Yeah.
All you do is read the vinyl. That's the best part. The mask
Fall
would
Guy.
vaguely resemble something, and then the vinyl on your chest would say C-3PO, as if you couldn't tell by the
Right.
gold face.
And then whoever had one of those costumes on, because the next morning, when everybody'd go to school, the people that had the plastic mask would have cuts on their tongue because they'd try to stick their tongue out that little hole.
There was nothing more painful
Right.
than the plastic mask cut.
Right. You do it the first time, oh, that hurt. And then and then your tongue swells up and gets blisters and stuff. And then next 500 times it just compounds it. Did you guys have a community where the kids either had to do a trick before they got their treat? Or I know there's places in Des Moines, communities in Des Moines, where you have to walk around with a joke in your head or a song or something before you get your treat.
My dad is kind of the dad joke guy a little bit, and he was an administrator and teacher in the district. So we would get a lot of people come to the door, and he would be the guy who would force people to do a trick before they got their treat.
Right.
But it wasn't a real thing, but he liked to do that. Yeah. I don't remember having a go-to trick. I remember getting asked it. It was definitely a thing by some dads or
Right.
Homeowners.
The other thing that was a fate worse than death, and no kid ever really followed the weather, but when it was going to be snowy,
Yeah.
and during Halloween night, and you knew, all day during school, maybe I could put enough sweatshirts together, my mom will let me go out. But I do remember there was being one Halloween where I had a parka underneath my.
And you were a ballerina.
I was ballerina, right? There was nothing petite about me at all. Nothing waif-like at all. I think I was actually Darth Vader that year, which actually, you know,
yeah. Star Wars was a classic.
Right.
We did them in school too. Now that you're talking about it, I'm thinking we used to. I feel like you would wear your costume, and they would have some sort of a Halloween parade through the halls of the school.
Oh, absolutely.
And then
that was a thing.
That was a big deal where you had all your peers around too. So there was a lot of judgment around who.
Right.
who brought it, who didn't bring it.
Right.
Back to your tribe that you would go out and actually trick or treat the streets with.
So my daughter was born on the 30th. So we were in the hospital Halloween night when my son, who was at the time, 5, 6 years old, and he was, a little devastated that mom and dad are at the hospital with his little sister. But we obviously brought him to the hospital with us, and that ended up being the biggest Halloween ever for that kid because the nurses take him around, and he got probably 3 times the candy you would harvest in a neighborhood.
Right.
Roaming the halls of the hospital. But you mentioned inclement weather Halloweens, and those could be feast or famine back in the day because you had to strike early on an inclement weather Halloween because there wouldn't be as many people putting stuff out. But what you would find was the people that just put the bowl out. Right. And they weren't coming to the door in the snow or the rain.
Right.
And if you were the first one there, man, you got the trick and the treat.
Right. The take one sign immediately was neglected.
Yeah. Is that what that sign meant?
Take one Reese's peanut butter cup, one Hershey Kiss.
We thought it would take one bowl.
Right. When did you guys carve your jack-o'-lanterns? Was that a deal for you?
Oh yeah, that was a thing at our house. Like when, how far in advance of Halloween?
Yeah,
I don't know. I feel like it's just like a day or two before. Was usually what we would do.
But the whole jack-o'-lantern thing really took off maybe in mid-late 80s, right? Because in your opening you alluded to it. In the 70s, you used something out of the kitchen, and I don't think any shapes other than triangles were even thought of. I mean, it was pretty standard issue. No one was super creative.
Right.
And there was no special, shaving tool
template.
and fine cutting tool or anything like that. And then, of course, the advent of the jack-o'-lantern carving kits. Did you ever do the roasting of the pumpkin seeds and that whole spread?
Absolutely.
And then, in our house, nobody ate it.
I was going to say, was there anything that's less bang for the buck than rinsing, drying, seasoning, baking, and then it's like, God, this tastes fucking terrible.
Right.
We were all about it.
Right. You guys did?
And my
Dunlaps?
and my girls still dig it. That is one tradition that I have kind of tried to keep up is the carve. And you were asking about when we would do it when I was a kid. We would do it a little earlier, but I've definitely carved 2 hours before the trick-or-treaters are going to be coming.
Right.
And we're gutting the pumpkin, but the girls always want to save the seeds.
Right.
We do it old school. We put the olive oil on them, put a little salt on, throw them in the oven. It's a thing, and they still dig it. So it's still alive in our family. Yeah.
That was the other thing we did is we'd always watch the Peanuts Halloween. The pump,
Oh, sure. The Great Pumpkin.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And poor Charlie Brown. I got a rock. Poor son of a bitch, man. He never caught a break, ever.
He had a tough go. And male pattern baldness when he was 6.
Right. And Snoopy just kept stumbling up. I mean, he's a dog, and everything went his way. Everything went his way. We kind of talked about it a little bit, but during the 70s, we went from being a little bit feral and having our neighbors give us popcorn balls or homemade stuff, like candied apples that had caramel on the outside of it.
Yep.
And it was a lot of work went into. Every once in a while, you'd pour your popcorn ball out, and they used red sugar or they used and that was a good. And you could remember. I think McClure gave this to me, and then all of a sudden Tylenol scare or what it was, but then just it was done.
Everything
there was nothing homemade. Yeah. There was no candied apples. There was no.
They were razor blades.
Razor blades
put in
was
something, or I don't know. Yeah.
Did you know anyone that ever experienced a razor blade in candy? But it was
There's
quicksand,
drugs.
right?
Yeah.
It was
it's just the threat of there being razor blades in there was enough. I don't think we can give the kids the popcorn balls anymore. We've got to give them,
Well, and the Rice Krispie treat.
Right.
That, this day and age, kids think you buy those things prepackaged. Right. Back in the 70s, that was a homemade all the way. And
100%.
If you had the people in the neighborhood giving those out, because they weren't little 1-ounce servings. Those were thick, huge, wrapped in wax paper. It was one of the holy grail things to get.
Right. When I was in graduate school, I shared a house with 12 women, and none of us gotten candy, and we lived on one of the major streets, the trick-or-treat street, and so we just went to our cabinets and grabbed stuff out of our cabinet.
Were you giving out Bush Lights?
No, but I will tell you that 10:45 at night, and there was a knock on our door. We'd had the lights off and everything. We figured, well, it's probably one of our friends. So we opened up the door, and it's like a dad. He goes, "Hey, did you give my daughter white hominy?" I said, a can of white hominy. He pulls it from behind his back, and it's like a can of white hominy. I was like, yeah, my guess is, yeah, we probably gave that to her. And he just kind of looked at me like, you disgust me. And then he like turned around and he walked off with her hominy.
Yeah,
but
he's keeping it.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what I'm more surprised at. Your 20-year-old self had white hominy in the pantry, or that you lived with 12 women. That hasn't come up yet in the pod? I mean, did you spend 2 years in a toga? Or?
No, it was, I'll tell you what, it was not a
Hugh Hefner type deal?
It wasn't as glamorous as it sounds.
Not at all.
Okay.
It was not at all. It was large-scale drama. Oh, everything about my graduate school is funny. There was not a moment. Every morning I woke up and I slept in a garage. Before I slept in a garage, I slept in a kid's playhouse, a child's playhouse. So, like outside. That's where my first couple nights of graduate school, I woke up in a playhouse before I started sleeping in a garage.
This kind of explains a little bit.
This sounds like an entire episode.
It does. We need to go deep on this.
Yeah.
In a separate,
Raymond's Playhouse.
Yeah.
What candies were you hoping for when you were trick-or-treating?
Well, so we talked about, obviously, the homemade stuff that, in my opinion, was kind of holy grail stuff, right? If you came away with one or two homemade things, and a couple other items I would put in that category. Rare finds, but if you got them, they were awesome. Occasionally, you would get something like the pack of candy cigarettes, or like the Fun Dips. Remember the Fun Dips? They were like the sugar pouches with the sugar stick. They didn't come in a mini size. So if you found someone giving those out, it was like a full thing. And then, I don't know if you guys ever had this in your neighborhood, every now and then you have someone doing the baseball, football cards, which was kind of a huge twist on it.
Yep.
So aside from, obviously, the candies, which everyone categorized their favorite candies, but those were a couple of the other, in my opinion, holy grail items that you would stumble across.
One of my greatest memories is, like you'd have family or you would have family friends who would have special candies they'd hold them back for people they knew,
Oh,
so
sure.
maybe they're giving out little Snickers or Butterfinger or whatever, but for people they knew or their nephews or whatever, they would give out full-sized Hershey bars.
That's
full-size. And I remember one time I went to this house. It was on like the main drag, and my mom was with me. It was my brother and I. And they said, oh, and they acted like they were super excited to see us. And they turned around and they gave these bags to my brother and I. They said, you are so cute. And they put the bags inside of our trick-or-treat bags. And they obviously thought we were somebody else. I mean, I didn't know it at the time. I didn't register
it. Was it the premium gift? You got the premium
we got somebody's premium gift.
She thought you were the fall guy.
Right. Are you Lee Majors?
Right, exactly. No, the full size, that was when word went out in the neighborhood that X or Y house had full-sized whatever, Snickers bars. That was, I think
you ran home and got the sheet and went back as the ghost
to
get the second full-size.
The full-sized was premium. There was a family, we lived in my hometown in Washington. We lived on a boulevard that went down into the park, and I remember there was this house where one of the teachers, I think her name was Mrs. Bryan or Miss Bryan, she was reputed to have a tiger in her house.
Oh, wow.
Like literally had a caged tiger. I don't know, like a tiger cub or something.
Oh, so it was an actual. They thought
it wasn't.
It wasn't a 19-year-old kid named Pedro.
No. But they gave away. You heard that Mrs. Bryan's house has full-size Snickers,
right?
And everybody was just like screaming down there.
Right. Yeah. I can remember more than once in 7th grade, maybe in 6th grade, that there would be that young teacher that would just be like pretty new out of college.
Yes.
And she would come wear the short, just above the knee with the black stockings and the, and kind of let your mind go.
Mm.
So the tiger was straight up urban legend. You never saw the tiger?
I think it was a true thing, but I don't think I ever saw it. I believe. I believe
day, I think it was a true.
So she wasn't handing out raw T-bone steaks at Halloween.
No,
it would be indicative of the tiger. All right,
but she was
Was she married to Doug Henning, the magician?
I don't know what her husband did.
Brad spent a lot of nights in a tree with binoculars looking for that tiger.
Oh, I'm sorry, Mrs. Bryan. Miss Bryan.
I think my favorite thing to get was like the Snickers bar. That was a high commodity thing. John, we had talked a little bit about what were the best candies to get, even though you didn't like them. the candies you knew you were going to trade.
Like for
out.
trading purposes?
Yeah, or that you could trade for that like would
Yeah.
be in your friend's bag and you could like get bang for buck for.
For sure.
And so like for me, I like black licorice. So the crows, the black dots.
Oh yeah.
You know, I could trade those for pennies.
People
on the
want to
dollar.
get rid of those.
Yeah, they want to get rid of those. The peanut butter kisses, remember the black and orange wrapped peanut butter?
Yes, yes.
I like those. So
Yeah.
I could always harvest those for next to nothing.
Yeah.
And then the last one I put was kind of the classic Tootsie Roll that sometimes is just an overlooked and not appreciated in the bag.
Yeah.
But you could get rid of. Because to me, there was always like junk candy. Like the Hershey, remember the Hershey Dark Fun Size? It was just like a.
Yes, I do. The fun size.
Yeah.
First of all,
never
the fun
good.
size was not.
Yeah. So
exciting.
things like that were easily to trade. There were imitations like, was it the Crackle? Was the imitation of the Nestle Crunch.
Yep. Remember
Easy
that
to
one.
trade.
Yeah.
Yeah. So those are some of the ones that I would either trade for or trade against.
I was always a Carmel guy, and I don't know if everybody liked it. We would trade with my brothers when I was really little. Before I was like going out with my friends, you know, that we would all get home and we would dump our bag out, and then we would have a big swap. And I was always after the Butterfingers because I don't think my other brothers didn't dig it as much maybe as I did. So I liked the Butterfinger. I liked the Baby Ruth. And and the classic Snickers. Those were kind of my $100,000 bar too. Huge.
That's a solid fun size bar.
Huge.
You cobble two of those together and you're set.
Yeah.
The $100,000 bar, if you get like 2 or 3 of those together, it's just as good as a full size $100,000 bar. The production quality of those, there's no drop off.
Yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Reese's Peanut Butter Cup was exceptional.
Yes.
When they developed that, just the single Reese's Peanut Butter Cup and the packaging, that was the best thing ever.
Yeah.
So
Where'd you sit on Almond Joy?
I didn't seek it out, but I was good with it.
Yeah, I was
I'm
never
an Almond Joy
opposed.
guy.
those were mine, both Mounds and Almond Joy. That chocolate and coconut together.
Yeah.
I was fine with that, and that was my trader. You know, if anybody in my family had that, I think my mom liked it, but I got those. I didn't even have to trade it. They just kind of like.
I'd give up the Mounds. I think the Almond Joy would take it for me, but
Well, see, and I was never a fan of like the Smarties or some of those type of candies.
Just the sugar.
Yeah.
Like
the hard candies.
So those were easy to trade out pretty easily. Did we mention Whoppers? I was always kind of a fan of the Whopper.
Big Whopper guy. Yeah. And I don't remember this being a Halloween thing, but it was like just a block away from where I lived. There was a place called the Handy Pantry, and it was where you would take 35 cents and see what you could make in terms of what you could get for candies.
penny candy. Yeah.
And there was a product called Sixlets. Do you guys remember?
Yeah, they're like little.
Sixlets?
They're colored
They were like
green,
baby,
red.
They were baby candy coated chocolate drops. They
Right.
were almost like a mini M&M in
Right.
this tube. I loved Sixlets.
Those were great.
And I don't remember them being featuring heavily at Halloween, but if they were, I would have been all over the Sixlets. And I also loved, and I have some in my office actually, Chico sticks. Remember the Chico stick?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, those
It
are
was like
great.
basically the center of Butterfinger.
Yes.
Oh,
It
interesting.
was a big, like, I remember getting the long ones. They were maybe, an 8-inch long kind of Chico stick thing. It was like a pure center of a Butterfinger. And I've got the little individuals in my office. But like those are gone. You don't see those anymore. They
I
were a
haven't seen one
thing.
of those forever.
You know what?
Sixlets and Chico sticks.
Yeah, Chico sticks remind me not necessarily apples to apples, but remember the Cowtails, which is I think it was just like molasses.
Yes.
that was like molasses on a stick.
Yeah, Slowpoke was the same.
Slowpoke,
Oh, yeah.
Very similar.
Slowpokes.
One of my favorite candies that I haven't seen in a long time is Charleston Chew.
Oh, I was just thinking of that.
yeah, that was a great candy.
Same era. I haven't seen them forever.
So for both decoration and sampling, I obviously put a Halloween candy bowl on the table in front of us. There are Charleston Chews in there.
Get out of here.
Yeah, there are. But I also put what I was the classic dud handout, and I don't know if you could. And maybe this was only unique to the neighborhoods I grew up in.
No, it wasn't.
You see what I'm talking about?
Oh, toothbrush.
Did you not have a dentist or two in your neighborhood that
I
gave
feel
out
like- I feel like you
toothbrushes?
did
I mean,
stuff like
that was a surefire way to have your home toilet papered
Right.
every November 1st.
Well, I'm proud to say that Craig Stater gave out full-size chocolate bars, and he was my dentist.
Perfect. Well, he knew
was
business.
from a business.
He knew business when he saw it.
These dots, I didn't think about those. But the other one that I was not a big fan of, and there were a lot of sweet tarts and just like hard packed sugar discs. I didn't. That was a loser for me. I would trade those fast.
Yeah,
Right.
the nerds. I know they were super popular, but I just was not a big nerd fan when those came out. But they were all the rage.
Right, and
I was an
it was
outlier.
always a little bit exciting, like when you would go to the store and see like a candy you like that they small sized it.
Yeah.
Like because nerds were in a big box, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh, I can get small nerds.
Yeah.
I just need that hit. I just need a.
Yep.
No.
Another early childhood non-candy that you'd occasionally get would be either smelly stickers. Remember the smelly?
Oh, yeah.
Some people would give some of those out,
Yes.
or like Garbage Pail Kids.
Yeah.
And those are always kind of,
Wah.
yeah, well, yeah, but you could trade. They were tradables.
trade.
I would say
tradable.
the smelly stickers were a lot of times teachers. Like,
Yeah.
they would be like you would go to like a house and it'd be a teacher you didn't know from another school because
Yeah.
I don't know if they got them free or what, but and they were broke, so they just gave out what they had. It was
Good
the
point.
equivalent of white hominy.
Right.
Wasn't great, but it was not toilet paper the house like a toothbrush.
Right. Did you guys ever like get together with your buddies and watch movies around the Halloween time?
Yeah, we did some of that. I feel like, especially through the middle school and high school years, there was almost always a party, kind of dedicated around that. I guess leading up to it, we do some movies and stuff. But I even feel like that maybe for me anyway, personally, was more college and stuff. We would do movies like leading into going out and stuff.
Thinking about movies, like we didn't have, at my house, we didn't have HBO or Showtime or anything like that, but my buddy Brandy Moore did. Mm-hmm. So maybe, and this leads into another, I think, maybe you were going here, but Halloween tradition that I'm not proud to say I participated in, but sometimes I'd like sleep over at Brandy's on Halloween, and that would involve sometimes TPing of houses.
Right. Is Brandy a guy or girl?
It's a guy. Brandon.
Oh, Ray was about to cue up some music
Brandon
here.
Moore.
Wow.
Brandy. Yeah, his name was Brandon. He went by Brandy back then. He's now Brandon. And he had HBO, Cinemax, all the things.
Right.
So when you went to his place, that's what you watched.
Right, 100%.
But then the next morning you got up, you rode your bikes around town looking for pumpkins that you could throw on the road.
Right.
Like literally smashing
Pumpkin smashers, yeah.
Which I remember, it was like all good fun, and I was okay. It was like you got caught up in the moment, and you're doing it, and you're feeling good. But I remember getting caught,
Yeah.
like a mom coming outside,
Right.
and like just reading you the riot act for what what they knew you're getting up
Yeah.
to.
Right.
And it's just like, oh man.
Well, I'm going to tell a juvenile delinquent story. One year on Halloween, we made a doll, basically, or a mannequin. We took jeans, a flannel shirt, shoes, gloves, one of the rubber Halloween masks,
Right.
stapled it all together, filled it with newspaper,
Right.
named him Eugene.
Okay.
And we took him and we propped him in like bushes to try to scare kids.
Right.
It all started very benign. Eugene lasted a little past Halloween, and then we were trying to come up with more and more things to deploy Eugene on.
Right.
And so one night we got a bicycle. We tied Eugene to the bicycle.
Right.
We were hiding up a hill in the woods and waited for a car to come down the road. We ghost rode Eugene. And this van was coming down First Avenue in Iowa City, and out comes Eugene. It was timed perfectly. The van hits the bicycle.
Oh, right.
The police are called. People are coming out of houses, and then they realize this. He's bleeding newspaper. It's a
Right.
mannequin and livid. And sign of the times. We're all hiding, in the shrubbery. Like, okay, we're
Right.
gonna get the bike back. Is Eugene gone?
Right.
Yeah.
A policeman shows
gonna
up.
kill me.
Yes, obviously with good reason, but the woman that hit Eugene was pretty animated. And,
Right.
Yeah. But the police officer shows up, calms the situation, and leaves. The car leaves. Everyone goes back in their house, and he just leaves Eugene and the bicycle on the side of the road. So
Right.
we deemed the coast clear. Went out and harvested him, and he lived to ride another day.
Right. He lived. He was the Easter bunny. He later went on to Christmas.
So that was Eugene.
But that was the kind of stuff you could do
Oh,
back then and not get in trouble. Even if you guys
It
would have
was.
been
I
caught,
mean-
it would have been a go home thing.
Yeah, for sure. Right. The sign of the times.
Right. Now it would have been like
good
a
Lord.
huge
Well,
deal. It would have been in the news. And
now with these plastic cars, I mean, Eugene would have done probably $3,000 of
Right.
damage to the poor lady's car.
Right.
Back then, the old Chevy van, nary a scratch.
right.
Didn't do Lance Hermeyer's bicycle any
And
favors.
the bike. Yeah,
Yeah,
there's a
right.
bike, Schwinn Continental.
I was
It's
going to
like-
say the Schwinn Stingray would like put a giant.
Yes. It was, yeah. But that was a good Halloween, Eugene and Halloween.
Yeah. Did you guys smash pumpkins? I mean,
Yes. Well, Brown Street in Iowa City, which you probably know what Brown Street,
Yeah.
steep hill. And yeah, we would roll pumpkins down Brown Street and watch them hit the curb on the other side of Dubuque Street and explode. And how we didn't hit a car or do anything.
Yeah.
We weren't smart enough to think about that possibility.
I didn't smash pumpkins, but I got mine smashed.
yeah, very different from the plastic mask that you would get at Kmart or Walmart, or everyone went to the same shop. Now you go on Amazon, you're like, slutty nurse,
Right.
slutty doctor, slutty
Do you think
cop.
that there's what do you think the percentage is that Brad wakes up Saturday and Steph's holding a flapper outfit in his size.
It might be for me. It could be for me. I was looking at my Amazon thing and I'm like, who ordered this? And how am I going to fit in it?
But
it's all naughty.
Right. Things have all moved naughty. There's nothing, everybody has naughty stuff, which I'm not necessarily against, but it's all went.
Well, you're not a dad of 20-somethings.
Right.
Yeah, you know, that's.
You're walking around the naughty librarian, the naughty elf, the naughty
park ranger, whatever it might be.
Yeah. Good point. I'm not the dad of a daughter, so.
The day after Halloween, if you're out and about in the morning, and I know you've got some stories associated with that, you see the aftermath.
Right. That's a bit of my claim to fame. I've driven around Iowa City the morning after the bars do their costume contest, and I watched the kids do the Walk of Shame in their partial Halloween costumes. And it's just absolutely glorious. I mean, it's just the first time it happened by accident because my buddy got arrested at an Iowa game.
Yeah. That's how all good, you know.
Right. And so, you know, I get this phone call, like, hey, can you come pick me up? I'm like, sure. So I get in, you know, and he comes walking out of the jail with his belt and his shoestrings in his hand. Yeah. I'm like, do you want to go get some coffee and food? And he's like, that'd be great. So we like drove through Iowa City.
Yeah.
And the first thing I saw was like Steve Irwin, the crocodile hunter. You know, he had the shirt wide open and the short shorts rolled up. I was like, oh, there's Steve Irwin. Hey, Tiger. You know, and it was kind of funny. And then we ran into like 5 or 6 more kids. My buddy's got like a pounding headache. And I went from picking him up to like, we're going to stay out until we stop seeing somebody. You know, and it was just one person after another, and it was so great. And I had nothing with me except just me. And then the next year, I mean, it's old enough that I had film camera. I mean, yeah. And so like the next year, I like put it in my Franklin planner.
You set your alarm.
Right. Oh, it was so glorious. It was great. I did that for maybe like 5 or 6 years before anybody knew that I did it. And I told somebody like, that's got to be awesome. You know, and then I got out the actual pictures.
Yeah.
And then one year, our friend Amy Bean Blossom went with me.
Sure.
So she was sitting shotgun in the passenger seat, and we were sitting at a stoplight, and there was a whole group of Teletubbies right next to us. And she like rolled out. She said, I love the Teletubbies. Do you guys get high? You know, and I'm like, Amy, you don't talk to them. And so like the light turned green, and she goes like, you don't talk to the kid? And like, no, I just kind of like put my camera up and take a picture. He goes, well, that's kind of creepy.
Yeah, super creepy. Are you wearing a trench coat and Ray-Bans? And
white panel van. You got it. You've seen me out there.
Okay. Yeah.
But that after she pointed it out, and listen,
fake mustache.
Right. She told me, she goes, that's kind of creepy. You know, you just like going taking pictures of people and driving around. So for the rest of that ride, she talked to everybody. She goes, I love your costume. That's so funny, you know.
And they're like walking back and they're like, hose is ripped and they've got one broken high heel and they're like carrying.
There's nothing funnier than like, having Stormtrooper on the upper half, you know, and then the bottom half is just like Jordan basketball shorts and he's carrying his helmet. And, right. No, it's great. But, you know, after she showed me how fun it is, then, you know, I got to talk to them because they're a little bit embarrassed. When you actually talk to them, they're all in for it. My favorite picture of all time, I've still got this picture and I'll share it with you. Happened on, it has to be Dubuque Street by the Methodist Church. There's kind of this golden hour. It's between 7:30 and 10:30, which is when you get the highest, you know, and there is this overlap of when they're out walking the most and people are going to church. And one of my very favorite pictures is this young woman, and she is in a naughty scout uniform, super short dress, and her shack for the night is bending over and tying her shoe, and they're right in front of the Methodist Church sign. And there's this older woman. She's probably in her 70s, and she has like this Lands End heavy frumpy coat. Like she could not be more comfort or covered, you know. Yeah. She could be no least sexy than she was. And she's looking at the two of them in disgust. I mean, the whole picture sums up everything about that moment. But
yeah, that's great. And now, have you made a coffee table? Like this could become, have you got enough material to make it into an actual?
Yeah, 100%. So one of my very favorite photos is of this girl, and she's in a Hooters outfit, you know, the tight orange shorts and the tight top and the white shoes, and she is going through College Square Park through this Occupy Wall Street encampment.
Yeah, I remember those days.
It was like she had to make a decision, like, do I go down a block,
take the long way,
and then over a block and then up a block, or do I just go diagonally? Yeah. And if you remember right, some of the people in the Occupy Wall Street encampment in Iowa City, like it first started off with these hippies, you know, and then their 60s and 70s, and then like somewhere in the middle of it, they were getting fire trucks called on, like urban woodsmen starting fires in their tents and stuff. So like when she cut across that encampment, she was kind of taking her life in her own hands.
Yeah. Big call.
No, man, it is, living in a college town is just the absolute greatest on Halloween.
I think if you could first of all, I think you should make the coffee table book and put it out there.
Right.
That would be classic.
Right.
But don't you think, because you said early on you were kind of an anonymous observer, and then you turned into more of a participant, you'd actually talk and people would engage with you.
Yeah.
I think if you went to kind of like the modern man on the street TikToker or Reels guy on publishing these Insta moments where you're just like encountering folks and just interview them for a second, wouldn't that make for some really good?
It would make it. But I will tell you, in the past maybe 5 or 6 years, it's got really hard. And I'll tell you what killed it is Uber.
Yeah.
So what happened before was you would wake up from wherever you shacked, and then you would start calling your people. If you were lucky enough to get somebody to come get you, that was basically the same as Uber. But if you weren't, you were walking. So now Uber, you know somebody's going to come get you. So if I'm going to get a picture of somebody, it's that 6 seconds between the time they leave their front door to Uber. And it's it's been so tough to get pictures lately. Yeah.
Halloween Uber with a dash cam.
Oh, that would be, that's where the money's at.
Yeah. Uber Ray.
Right.
We could get you an Uber kit. That could be your gig. You could just pick that magic hour.
I don't know if that's maybe creepier than what I was doing before.
No, but you would have to consent people.
Right. Oh, no. Yeah. You'd have to. Yeah.
Well, you'll have to share some of these old pictures because for that period of time, you would put an album on Facebook.
Yeah.
And
every year,
people waited for that album to drop.
Right.
And they were classics.
Right. Oh, no. I would get done taking pictures like right around 11 o'clock. And all morning, I would get emails and texts like, hey, when are the pictures going to be up? Are they any good? Like, just, float some what you're seeing out there. You know, the thing that always intrigued, and I mean, this honestly always did intrigue me, was like the 4 girls and the 1 guy. Like, what was that situation? What was that scenario? Where there's like somebody had a place for 4 girls to sleep and then a guy. So probably should follow through and do a coffee table book. But
I remember the one year, out of curiosity, I rode with you. You were gracious enough to let me see this firsthand.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you remember this, but the kid dressed as Joseph Stalin.
Yeah.
Walking up Burlington Street with the full length like military coat, bare chest underneath it, and he had the hat and the whole 9 yards. And who took Joseph Stalin home that night? You know, that's really interesting.
Yeah. Right. Somebody. Well, I'm almost guaranteeing that it was happened at the Foxhead.
Yeah.
That's where that kind of stuff happens.
Or the Deadwood, which we'll discuss.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I mean, it became pretty popular when my high school friends would be kind of the core group that would say, hey, when are you going to post these? And it's gone on long enough that when their kids started going to Iowa, I would get texts like, hey, this is what my kid looks like. Please don't take a picture of him and post it. I'm like, I'm sorry, I can't. I don't know. It became popular enough that when my oldest was in elementary school, that they had these baskets that they, would put together for a fundraiser. So you'd, get these certificates from this and shoes from that and signed basketball from this and everything. You'd put them in a basket and then you would bid on these baskets. One of the baskets featured a ride along with me.
No.
Yeah. And so that's kind of when I knew that, I had kind of made it when like I got,
it's
like 15 people have bid on this. This is crazy. But yeah, that was, it was, and I didn't know the people, I didn't know their kids. I didn't know anything about them. So I've got these strangers riding around with me, and there's kind of this heightened expectation that now all of a sudden it's a little bit like fishing. You could see 2 people or you could see 20 people.
Right.
But when somebody's laying down some cash to sit in your back seat,
find some whales.
Right. I've got to bring home a whale. So yeah, I think it's fun. I absolutely love living in a college town. I remember one time we were going by this fraternity house. This was on Halloween night, and they had some sort of PVC tubing, and they would put candy in it. It was air pressured, and they would shoot candy at groups of kids.
Yeah,
and I just thought, God, I mean, that is so worth all of those engineering classes that they had toiled for. Like, no, I think if we made the tube a little bit smaller and we just got a little more air compressor, we could shoot this thing about 60 yards. Yeah. I tell you, it is a lot more pressure on you as a parent. I can kind of see why my parents like sometimes cobbled together a Halloween costume the night of, just because there's so much stuff going on in your life, and there's soccer, and there's all of this other stuff that's going on, and then you realize, oh crap, tonight's Halloween, and your kid ends up being a hobo or something. I will tell you, there's a little bit difference, I think, being now versus our parents. It seems like there's parents that want the other parents to get involved.
Yeah, absolutely.
One of the things, I don't know if you experienced this in your neighborhood, when I was a kid trick-or-treating, like my parents were never with us. It was strictly a kid endeavor. When our kids were trick-or-treating, we would walk the neighborhood with them, and there was a definite adult component to it. There was houses that were giving out Jello shots to the moms and dads, or other spirits, Fireball, punch to drink, things like that. And it became a neighborhood party as much for the adults as it was for the kids. I don't know if you guys had that same experience.
Yeah, for sure. When we were in Chicagoland, and our girls were still pretty little, but there was a particular street that, you've met T-Mac, Terry McAllister. He lived over by the Ravinia Park, and I can't remember the name now of the street that his friends, the Brooks, were on, but it was a legendary sort of place where folks knew that not only were the houses, like the gifts and the candies and so forth solid, but as you mentioned, there was some sort of concoction in the driveway or on the porch that it could be some sort of a bourbon cocktail, or it could be some sort of a witch's brew, or like you said, a shot along the way. And not only did the kids get dressed up, but the parents got involved too. So like the Brooks family, legendary like costumes. Like
hard to imagine.
Megan Brooks went all out. I remember one of my favorite years was the Goldfinger, where Michael was wearing the terry cloth jumper. That Sean Connery wore in Goldfinger, and she was a Goldfinger character in the full. It was just like, whoa. And other years she was like super elaborate, princesses and so forth, and like her costumes were legendary on that street. But yes, it was very much trick-or-treating for the adults as much as it was trick-or-treating for the kids, and people had like elaborate things in their front yards, like big blow up, like you see Christmas decor. They would have like Halloween giant, Frankensteins and stuff.
And this is the same neighborhood with the forest and the bike trail through the woods, right?
Because absolutely,
we rode that in the weekend after Halloween, and it was still all decorated.
They actually decorated the path, if you recall.
Yeah. So Ray, we did several years ago a bike ride around a football game over there, so it was right around Halloween time.
Yeah.
And a lot of things happened on that bike ride. We rode our bikes up the North Shore to Lake Bluff and back down.
Yes.
And Brad has talked about some of his favorite dive bars when he lived there. We hit many of those. It's somewhere along the way we intercepted one of your friends because you were doing a whiskey raffle for Children's Place.
Yes.
And we ended up onboarding some really high-end bottles of whiskey in our bike bags.
Did. Yeah, Ryan Park had,
Yeah, and so then, of course, after closing maybe a couple dive bars on bikes, we're riding back to our hotel south through these woods in the wee hours of the morning, and there's ghosts and goblins and all these characters along the trail. And,
cobwebs you're riding through.
And Brad's navigating this, slightly startled, not very lucid. Probably
so it was legitimately scary at 15 miles an hour.
A couple $1,000s worth of whiskey in his bike bag, and he just exits trail right and down the ravine.
Jeez, I did not see that coming.
Yeah,
right.
All fine. A lot of leaves, padded the fall.
Yeah.
The whiskey survived, but it was a spooky endeavor.
Yeah. No, that's HP. HP, I will give them credit, especially that part of town over by Ravinia. They get into their Halloween, and
that had to be full-size candy bar territory. That whole neighborhood.
Absolutely.
I mean, and Michael Jordan lived somewhere close by. I mean, come on,
exactly,
that was
exactly full-size Snickers at every place.
It was a fun experience as adults riding the haunted forest in the middle of the night,
Fantastic
not sure what was coming out at you.
Again. Yeah.
Well, I do like it when adults get into it. Now, the Halloween, there are stores that are Halloween stores that are open 365 days a year. There have been Christmas stores that have been open 365 days a year, but there are now Halloween stores that are open year-round. I think it moves the needle on the economy. You know, I think with the costumes and with...
it's a huge component of thrift stores and rag stock. I mean, they've really transitioned to half the places Halloween year-round.
All right. Every fall, as the air turns crisp and the pumpkins appear on porches, Spirit Halloween rises from the retail graveyard to take over abandoned storefronts across America. Once empty spaces that housed our nation's cornerstone businesses suddenly transform into temporary wonderlands of costumes, fog machines, and rubber masks. These pop-up business models became a cultural ritual of their own, part clever real estate strategy, part spooky tradition, breathing new and sometimes eerie life into empty shells that we got used to all over the suburban commerce. Like ghosts haunting the remnants of America's shopping past, Spirit Halloween appears overnight, bringing bursts of orange and black energy, and vanishes just as quickly after October 31st. So what we're going to do this week is I'm going to show the boys 5 storefronts of Spirit Halloween, and they're going to try to guess what business it used to be.
All right.
So here's our first Spirit Halloween storefront. What store?
What was it beforehand?
I feel really good about that.
Yeah.
No.
Store number 2.
Oh, yeah. That one I feel good about.
Okay.
Store number 3.
Okay.
That's a Long John Silver's.
I like it.
These are real pictures, huh?
Real pictures. Store number 4.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
This is like suburban wasteland.
Right.
Yeah.
And store number 5. I'll almost guarantee you guys have been in all of these.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think you've been in all of these.
Let's see. The rainbow vibe is...
I'll post all of these photos up on our Facebook page. The Facebook group is Deep Dive Pod. You can find us on Facebook, so you can play along at home.
I don't think this is right, but I'm going to say it anyway.
All right, boys.
Yeah, I know.
Do we get credit if we said one of them and it's not in the right order?
Yeah, well, I'm open to anything.
Okay.
John, what was the first one?
I said it was a famous footwear.
That's a good guess. It does look like a famous footwear. Brad?
I was struggling. I said some kind of a gym.
Yeah, that's also like a Planet Fitness.
Planet Fitness or,
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's a Bed Bath & Beyond.
Okay.
Wow.
B&B.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The next one, I think we probably got that. John, what did you have?
Kmart.
I had Kmart.
Yeah, and this is a relatively new one. What's that soccer guy? That's Ted Lasso.
Oh, yeah.
So this is kind of a new
Yeah,
one.
it's a recent deal.
Yeah. Okay, so...
I think that there is still a Kmart or 2 out there. I don't know how they're still getting product, but I want to think
they're not all online
Yeah.
now.
The last Sears just closed down last year, which I think Sears and Kmart were married somehow. All right, 3.
That one I was pretty
Yeah,
confident.
the Best Buy.
It's a Best
Yeah,
Buy.
Best Buy. Number 4.
Yeah, I did not have this one at all.
This is a tough one because they didn't look like this around here. They started looking like this at about Denver and west.
I said Toys R Us.
Right.
Oh,
That's-
solid. I said Staples.
Yeah, it's a pure one.
Oh,
Good one.
yep.
And then last but not least,
I don't have that at all. It's a grocery store of some sort is what I thought, but I put a Safeway, but I know it's because you said it's something local.
I said Hobby Lobby, but it might be Toys R Us.
Yeah, it's a Toys R Us.
Okay, that's Toys R Us.
Toys R Us. Yeah.
Okay. So I got one. If you give me credit for
saying Toys R Us earlier, all right.
Yeah.
Well done, Brad.
All right, boys.
Not bad.
It's not a bad show.
No.
Too
It
bad.
was
I've got a stomach.
How many rappers you got going on over there?
I've got gut problems now.
Yeah,
John, like a German elixir, like a little Wunderbar before we call it a night.
The sweaty meat was great, but then when you top it off with a Twix, a Butterfinger, a Kit Kat,
Charleston
a Baby
Chew.
Ruth, and a Charleston Chew.
Right.
Well, don't be shy about a pickled egg on your way out the door.
This is not good for my health.
All right, boys, you get all your systems?
I think we did till next Halloween.
All right, thanks everybody for joining us. You can follow us on Spotify or Apple Pod or wherever you get your podcast, and join our Facebook group, Deep Dive Pod. See you next time.